Welcome to Module 1, Lesson 12, going from ratio tables to a double number line. Alright, so after today's lesson, I would like you to be able to create equivalent ratios using a ratio table and represent these ratios on a double number line. And I'd also like you to be able to extend and use a double number line diagram to solve ratio problems related to the real world. Okay, so I've already talked about how to use a ratio table. Now we're going to use that ratio table to create a double number line. And then we're going to use that double number line to solve problems. Overall, what we're trying to get to is that understanding of how the numbers are working together, so that way down the road, you don't need these ratio tables and double number lines anymore. Alright, so we're going to skip to exercise 2, and exercise 2 is about the sugary drinks. So, in this problem, the amount of sugary beverages Americans consume is a leading health concern. For a given brand of cola, a 12-ounce serving of cola contains about 40 grams of sugar. Complete the ratio table using the given ratio to find equivalent ratios. Alright, so you'll notice that there is a table below that is available, or positions below available and positions above. The reason that we did this is because I want you to make a ratio that is smaller and a ratio that is bigger than 12 to 40. Okay? When you make the ratio that is bigger, I want you to try to use something else other than the 12 to 40. I want you to try to use a different ratio to create this new bigger ratio. And let's see if you can figure out what I'm talking about. Okay, take a minute, pause, try it. When you come back, we'll check your answer. Alright, so in this case, when you're making a smaller ratio, you could have divided by two different numbers. You could have divided by 2 and you could have divided by 4. So I'm just going to split my table into 2 here. If I divided by 2, I would get 6 to 20. If I had divided by 4, I would get 3 to 10. Both being correct. Now, instead of multiplying 12 and 40 times 2 and getting 24 to 80, we can use these smaller ratios to get a ratio that's in between the 20. So let's look here. So 24 to 80. If I would have just multiplied 12 by 2 and 40 by 2, I would have gotten 24 to 80, which is correct, but I would have been missing all these ratios in between. I could use the 3 to 10 and the 6 to 20 to make new ratios. So let's try by using the 3 to 10. Well, I already did 3 times 2, and I know that if I do 3 times 3, that would go in here, so that would be between the 6 and the 12. So since 3 times 4 gave me 12, I know the next number I could use is 3 times 5, which would give me 15. So I would do 10 times 5, which gave me 50. Now you'll notice there's not an easy way, not a very easy to see way to go from 12 to 15. So that's why we can use the smaller ratio to find those in-between ratios. They're still equivalent. Okay, so 12 to 40 is equivalent to 15 to 30. We just used the most simplified version to find it. And then the next one, we could have done 3 times 6, which is 18, and 3 times 10, which is 30. Which again, if we did 6 times 2, we would have gotten 12 and 40. And then we could have used the 6 to 20 to find that 6 times 3 is 18, and 20 times 3 is, oh my goodness, not 30, I apologize. We're doing it times 6, it would have been 60. There we go. Okay, so all these ratios work. So if you had 3 to 10 or 6 to 20, that's fine. If you had 15 to 50 or 18 to 60, that's fine. Or even 24 to 80, that's fine. I just want you to know that there are different ways of finding these numbers. Alright, so now we're going to move to exercise 3. We're actually going to use that table. So now when we use the table, we're going to use the 6 to 20 ratio to make our table. Okay, it's not because anything else would be incorrect, it's just so that way we're all on the same page. Okay, so make sure that you have this table in your notes for exercise number 3, just in case. All right, and then we're going to look at this 1 liter bottle of cola that contains 34 fluid ounces. I want to know how many grams of sugar would be in that liter of cola. Okay, well, if I look here and I make this table, I know that I don't have 34 fluid ounces, but I know that it's somewhere between 30 and 36. So my grams of sugar should be somewhere between 100 and 120. So this is where the double number line is going to help us out a little bit. Right, so you have a double number line in your notes. It might not be directly underneath exercise 3. It might be on the next page, but I'd like you to use it so that way you don't have to try and cram so much stuff into a small space. All right, so here's our double number line. So with my double number line, I know that both number lines have to start at 0. Okay, so it's 0 and 0. But now here, since I'm giving them labels, I know that the top is going to be my cola, and it's in ounces, and the bottom is going to be my sugar, and it's in grams. So now, when I make my next line, so I'm going to make my next line here, on top, I know that it's 6 ounces of cola because that's what I go up by. I go up by 6. But when I go up by 6 in the cola, I go up by 20 in my grams of sugar. Okay, so my next line, and I try to make them as evenly spaced as possible. So I'm going to draw, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I'm going to put in my numbers. So I know that my next number of ounces is 12, and my next number of grams is 40. And then it's 18 and 60, 24 and 80, 30 and 100, 36 and 120. And again, to get these, we used the 6 to 20 ratio, and we did times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6. Okay. So now, in between each of these spaces, so from here to here, I have 6. But from here to here, I have 20. So now in this case, I'm looking for 34 fluid ounces. So 34 would go up here. 34 would be right around here in our double number line. Okay, so whatever 34 matches up with on this part of the number line, it has to match up with a number that's directly below it on the sugar number line. So I know that this is 34. Well, since I know that between 30 and 36, I have 6 units, and I'm only going 4 units across, so there's 6 total, but I'm only going 4. I'm going 4/6 of the way between 30 and 36. If I reduce this, I know that it reduces to 2/3. So 34 is 2/3 of the way between 30 and 36. So now what I want to figure out is if the distance from here to here, from 30 to 34 is 2/3, then I need to find the distance between 100 and x, what I'm looking for. Well, in this case, it's not 4, because in order to be 4, this would have to be between 100 and 120 would have to be 6. But between 100 and 120, we said that there are 20 units. So in those 20 units, I only want to go 2/3 of the way. I don't want to go the whole way. I don't want to go the full 20. I only want to go 2/3. So if I take my 20 and I multiply it by 2/3, because I only want to go 2/3 of the way there, I get, so if I do 20 times 2, I get 40. and then I put the 20 over 1, and I do 1 times 3 is 3. I get 40/3 grams of sugar. Well, we don't want to leave our answer like that because it's an improper fraction. So I know that if I divide, so 3 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down the 0. 3 goes into 10 3 times. Minus 9. I'm left with 1. So I know that this is equal to 13 whole groups and I have 1/3 left over because I had 1 leftover piece, so that's 1/3 because I'm working with thirds. So I know that if I have 34 ounces of cola, that it's going to give me 13 and 1, not give me 13 and 1/3. I know, so to get to the 34, I took the 4, okay, because I went 4 spaces, so 4 out of the 6, and I added it to the 30. So now what I have to do is I have to take the 100, because it's not that 34 ounces is only going to be 13 and 1/3 grams of sugar. That wouldn't make sense. Why would there be less grams of sugar with more ounces of cola? What I have to do is I know that from here to here is equal to 13 and 1/3. So I know that I have to take 100 plus the 13 and 1/3 to figure out what this spot is on the number line. And I know that 100, so if I take my 100 that I started at and I add 13 and 1/3, I get 113 and 1/3. So I know that in 34 ounces of cola, there are 113 and 1/3 ounces, grams of sugar. Okay, so again, there are 6 units between 30 and 36. And I know that 34 is 4 of those 6 units between 30 and 36. So that's where I got the 4/6. Then I use that simplified 4/6, so I use the 2/3 to figure out, well, what's 2/3 of 20? Because I want to figure out what's 2/3 of the way between 0 and 20. And then I took that answer and I added it to what I actually started with, which was 100. All right, so here's exercise 4. This is what I want you to try on your own. Okay, now remember, you're going to try it. I don't expect you to have it mastered, but you're going to try it. So now we have the same ratio table, but in the cafeteria, drinks may not have more than 25 grams of sugar. So based on this restriction, what is the largest size of cola in ounces that the cafeteria can offer students? Okay, so I would like you to use this table and your double number line, and I want you to figure out if you're only allowed 25 grams of sugar, how many ounces of cola does that mean you could have? And I will start you off, I'll set you up. So it's going to be the same double number line, so you're still starting at 0, you still have cola, and you still have your sugar, okay, and you still have your same ratios, so 6 to 20, 12 to 40. Now, do we really need to do any more? Since we're looking at 25 grams of sugar, and I'm at 20 here, do I need to go any further on my number line? In this case, I don't. So now I know that I have 25 grams of sugar. So it's going to be right about here. And I want to figure out what this would be. Okay, so I want you to try this on your own. Again, look at how much is actually between 20 and 40. Okay, so between 20 and 40, there's 20, and you're only going 5 of the spaces. And then you're going to use that to help you solve for x. Again, try it. When you come to class tomorrow, we will be going over it together. So just try it. And if you have any questions, be sure to write them down so we can go over them in class.